The sound of Severodonetsk being pounded and broken by bombs never stops. Ukrainian troops, vastly outnumbered here, can see the Russians blasting their way in. And underneath all these explosions, there are civilians still trying to survive. The situation's becoming increasingly dire at this point. One of the main bridges linking the city to the rest of the Donbass has already been bombed and is now impassable. So when we enter, it's by the only route left, the last usable bridge, which has also been hit several times. It's the city's remaining lifeline, and on our arrival, the Ukrainians are only just holding on to it. Inside, we see an humanitarian disaster rapidly unfolding, with thousands of people still here. This is a city which Russia would have banked on being pro-Kremlin, with strong links and often with relatives living there. They are very reluctant evacuees, but they are fleeing in the face of this terrible onslaught.
It's hell. You know, it's hell, first, everyday shelling. Second, a lot of death. Third, humanitarian problems.
The Seoul Working Hospital is now surrounded by Russian troops, so the only chance for the injured is to be evacuated, and this is one of the very few evacuation trips.
Now it seems like the front is all around the city. It's practically surrounded. There are tanks. There are we can see trucks from the army being deployed around the city. So it seems very clear that, to me, it's about to fall.
Are you glad to be going?
Yes and no. I don't know.
Feeling sad about leaving as well? But time is running out if they're to leave. And these volunteers hope to be back later to help more flee. A handful are delivering water, strapping bottles on the back of their bikes to take to those trapped in their homes.
Моя страна гибнет. Очень тяжело. Жалко. Плохо, тяжело. Переживаю.
He was a musician once. Now his world is filled with the sounds of war. A small moment to collect himself.
Ничего.
But we will win, he tells us.
Все будет хорошо.
Everything will be okay.
Сын, спасибо.
Thank you, he says, and kisses my hand. There's work to do. Valeri's another. It's far away, he reassures us about the bombing. The strength of these people continues to astonish. He doesn't even flinch. We're used to it, he says. It's been 3 months. Valery and his wife Nila won't leave. They've notched up 135 years between them, and they're now enduring bombs which are landing every few minutes. It is unrelenting and goes on and on as he weaves his way back through his community and takes us to his home, where he and his neighbours have been sheltering and where he's been ferrying food and water to, where there seems to be still a fair amount of people living. His neighbours tell us how hard it is to get even water. Yelena's saying she has to carry 2 or 3 bottles by hand. Everyone begins to panic at what sounds like cluster bombs landing far too close by. We head for the doorway to shelter. Open the basement, Valery shouts. Come, come, he says, I'm used to it. Everyone piles inside, waiting for yet more incoming bombs. Every day is like this, Yelena tells us. It was quiet for just 10 minutes. Every day it's back and forth like this, flying over our heads. Seconds later, Valery is punched by a neighbour. He's angry at Valery for bringing foreign journalists here. Many blame us for prompting the bombings.
Was he pushed?
This war has set pensioner against pensioner and forced neighbours to turn on each other. Please tell the world what's happening in Donbass, she says.
What's she saying? What's she saying?
And show, please, how it is.
Yeah, we will.
I'm trying not to cry, she says. I'm trying to keep myself calm, but you need to tell them what the situation is.
Well, this is going on all the time. Constant barrage. It's unbelievable that there are so many people who are still living and having to put up with this. And they're right in the middle of it.
At the aid hub, more injured have been brought in, and one woman has got a very nasty head wound.
There's no gunshot wound, it's just shrapnel. The worst injuries to her head, but obviously she just needs to get evacuated for that.
It turns out Sky News colleague Nick Davenport is the most qualified medic here, probably in the whole of the city. There's a police-trained first aider too, who asked not to be identified. There are 2 badly wounded here, but most certainly not the only ones in dire need of medical help in the city. Emma is back with her evac team, but her vehicle has broken down, so she's urgently trying to find replacements.
We only have 2 passenger vehicles. So
somehow the aid hub manager finds a way out for them. This is going to be a difficult and dangerous journey for them, but at least they have hope. There's very little of that going around this city right now, as we can hear the Russian troops getting nearer and the military circle around Severodonetsk closing in. A lot of people with no option have hunkered down in an old Soviet-built bunker, day and night. They cook food on fires in the open. Power and running water stopped weeks ago, but it's always done within easy reach of their underground shelter. To descend down here is to enter a truly grim, dank and perpetually dark place. Desperation and despair stalk the concrete corridors, and disease runs riot. There's a shame here amongst the residents, a real embarrassment about being reduced to this. There are nearly 100 people living on top of one another, 20 feet underground, the only place they feel offers them some chance of survival from the bombings above. They've had an outbreak of tuberculosis. People have caught pneumonia in here. Hygiene's obviously extremely hard in these terribly cramped conditions, and we hear constant coughing and retching. Sheets of cardboard are used as separation, but they offer scant privacy. And all this is all they have salvaged from their lives.
Из-за температуры, потому что он лекарств как-то толком нету, вот и повыезжало много людей.
А сколько людей уже заболели?
Да лучше послушайте сегодня ночью, мы все тут болеем.
Life has a post-apocalyptic feel about it down here, but still some display a steely determination to come through this.
I must survive. I don't think about those shellings, bombings, explosions, and so on and so forth. I just have to, or even must survive.
There's a half hour when the generator's switched on and they have power. There's a rush to charge phones used for light and to take the chance to maintain some self-care. But it also means they can pump water and stock up on supplies. Tanya goes round the shelter telling everyone this is the final opportunity to get out of Severodonetsk. This is the last chance for evacuation, she says. Think about it. But no one here is ready to flee their home city, despite the obvious dangers. Many here have had access only to Russian propaganda and believe they're liberating them. We sleep in a warehouse. The police tell us to be ready to head out in the middle of the night should the Russian troops move into the city. No one expects it to be long. By dawn, there are already people gathered, hoping they can get a ride out to safer ground. They've woken to more intense bombing. Russian troops are at the city gates and the noose is tightening.
This has been going on all morning. There are lots and lots of residents still living here, a lot of them old people, and having to run in and out of this just to cook or to fetch water. It is relentless.
They were shelling this area.
The Russians are bombing street by street in their efforts to capture this city, blasting houses and homes which stand in their path. They have the momentum now. And the destruction is immense. Taking Severodonetsk would mean the whole of the Luhansk region falls to Russian control. Maria and Ivan have lived here all their married lives. Now they're outdoor kitchens amongst the world's most dangerous. They've just got food scraps and blame both sides for targeting civilians.
Вот ехала машина с хлебом, стали военные, нехер сепаров кормить. Развернули.
Ну перестань, иди.
Такая народный герой Украины, ё-моё, это же вообще.
Then you come back,
Это может сюда.
Come on, says Maria. This is so hard for the elderly who don't understand why there's a war over Donbass at all. Maria urges Ivan to clear space for us to shelter. They're more worried about our safety. This is what their days are like now, dodging explosions and separated from their grandchildren. And they feel they've been badly let down by their city leaders.
Бросил город, бросил людей. Все. Что ж ты за герой такой, ё-моё? Все поуезжали. Уезжайте с города, уезжайте с города. Зачем? Как это? Вас убьют. Да что ты за отец такой?
So far they've been lucky, but they've come close. But the real hurt is in the family separation.
Хоть тяжело, говорю, я дождусь, вот все равно всех дождусь и всех увижу. Может, перед смертью, но все равно увижу всех.
The city already looks smashed to pieces, but there are thousands of civilians still inside, and the Russians show no signs of stopping their barrage yet. Alex Crawford, Sky News, inside Severodonetsk in the Donbass, eastern Ukraine.